substance use prevention. This is the December session, and this is the West Group meeting. This is the first of a series of 3 meetings this morning that's going to look at the public health side of the equation. I have a few administrative announcements, and then I will turn it over to our co-chairs. First, in terms of civil society engagement, in the July 2023 Ministerial Declaration on Accelerating and Strengthening the Global Response to Synthetic Drugs, participating governments expressed their commitment to take into account input from civil society in coalition objectives. Now, as you know, we've been having these meetings every month, and we, by consensus, decided that these meetings would be closed only to governments and to international organization staff. So we have created this parallel forum to be able to engage civil society, and that will be posted in the coming weeks on the coalition website, which you see there in the hyperlink. But in short, there are 5 major initiatives. First, we will be encouraging the development of national dialogues for coalition governments to engage their civil society beginning in January. The United States, leading by example, will organize a forum through the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, where we will connect with U.S. civil society organizations, and then we will post the content of that session, or a summary of that session, on the coalition website. We also encourage all of you to form your own civil society national dialogues, and also post that information on the website by sending it to us. Secondly, the Vienna NGO Committee will organize a global civil society forum, and that will be a multi-hour event that will take place with organizations from around the world, and with the participation of governments that will be there for consultation. Next, we will have an exchange of experiences on the coalition website, where we will be inviting, beginning in January, for NGOs and civil society organizations to send us content that we can post reflecting their thoughts and ideas. In addition, we'll be looking for concrete recommendations in terms of programs or policies. Those also can be shared through videos or through documents from civil society organizations. And finally, we'll be looking for civil society achievements that can be shared with us through video, through documents, and those achievements will also be posted on the website beginning April to July. Finally, at the discretion of co-chairs, we will consider certain sessions of the coalition from April onwards, where civil society representatives can be invited to present at specific sub-working group meetings and have specific dialogue and engagement. One more announcement. We have a new website that has launched. It's globalcoalition.us. I wanted to bring your attention to one specific section, which is the sub-working group section 3.1. On that website and on that page, you will be able to see future agendas. So if you want to know what's the latest, you can learn at the same time that we do what the agendas are looking like. We will be posting updates regularly to those agendas, so you have an update on that. And you can also access past recordings of sessions that you may have missed. We are also inviting all of you to send us videos for the website if you have content, longer presentations that you would like to share or post of your own experiences, your own successes, your own recommendations. We warmly invite you to send those to us, and we will be posting those on the website as well, so that all the colleagues can take a look. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to turn it over. I see on my screen our co-chair, Ingadora. Welcome over to you to moderate the session today. Thank you so much.
Brian, sorry, I just texted you because unfortunately I need to leave earlier. So I had spoken to Camila, who is going to take charge for me today. I was summoned to the Minister of Education here in Iceland regarding the research, the future of our research, which is the base for what we're doing. So Camila will be chairing on my behalf today. So.
Very good. I had understood that, but since I saw you, I thought I would take the chance to turn it over to you. But thank you so much for coming, and best of luck for your meetings. Thank you very much for being here. So I will turn it over to our provisional co-chairs for today, our invited co-chairs. I'll turn over to Camila Patino from the Colombo Plan, and Sarah Finmore from INL, and together they'll work together to moderate the sessions and call on the presenters. Thank you so much to both of you. Over.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so very much. Welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you here today. As Brian said, the co-chairs will not be able to join us, but Sarah and I will be leading this. We are going to start with the presentation regarding prevention based on school programs. Our presenter is Gabriela Gómez. She works at the Ministry of Education in Jalisco, Mexico, and the Secretary of Education of this state. Gabriela is also a trainer, a regional trainer, or UPC, and also works with the Colombo Plan. So I will show you the video, but Gabriela will be here and with us. So at the end of her presentation, we will have a Q&A. So take notes of any questions that you might have. Please put them in the chat or just raise your hand whenever you want, and Gabby will be able to answer all the questions. Thank you. Greetings, my name is Gabriela. I would like to share some thoughts on how we can prevent the use of synthetic drugs by taking advantage of the potential of the school as a space for learning and development. We will list the indicators that are challenges for the students' health and education. Substance use tends to start during adolescence, with alcohol, tobacco, and cannabis being the substances most commonly used by minors. Synthetic drugs and NPS represent a greater risk because some young people consider them safer due to the fact that they are or have been legal and come with a brand. Vulnerable contexts and drug use are associated with negative educational outcomes and represent a risk to students' present development and future health in adulthood. A school, environment, and scenario. Here we will reflect on how the school is a natural setting for prevention. Faced with this scenario, what can we do at school to prevent youth drug, including synthetic drugs and other psychosocial risks? The school is a scenario and at the same time a means to promote health and well-being, since one of its objectives is the comprehensive development of the students. It is a space that hosts a series of actors for long periods of time and where they put into action theories and behaviors related to health, risk factors, and protection. A school can offer a safe, healthy, and protective environment for students and opportunities to develop their potential through healthy challenges and constructive activities with sense of belonging. Schools maintain relationship with various sectors of the community that can contribute to the mobilization of resources and social welfare. Lessons learned. In this space, we will share what works and what does not work for the schools. Based on international prevention standards, the standards developed by ICD and WHO establish guidelines that contribute to the planning, implementation, and evaluation of preventive actions. They conceive of school-based preventions as being based of the effectiveness of interventions to prevent and reduce drugs among students. Based on these standards, some principles and components are established. Based on scientific answers start at an early age and consider all age groups to adopt a multifactorial comprehensive and gradual approach that involves the entire community adopt programs to the specific characteristics and needs of local content. Use interactive, playful, and reflective methods. Participatory methods that encourage active learning, that focus on the positive development of the students and set targets relevant to the prevalence and patterns of substance use in combination with various levels of universal, selective, and prevention, while monitoring and evaluating the results and expected impact to ensure the quality and sustainability of the interventions. Key components for school-based prevention include public schools and institutional policies on prevention, construction of global, national, and local curricula that include substance use and abuse prevention in their programs and cross-cutting content. Training for teachers, development, and other educational actors, and scientifically based responses that are linked to schools' health services, accessible and appropriate for the population, while cross-cutting management is carried out as an educational response to the consumption of drugs. Similarly, from these standards, we can identify the emphasis of prevention according to the various educational levels and determine what works and what does not work in terms or school prevention. Let's see what works and is safe to introduce in preventive actions. To foster social and personal skills, programs are structured and contain a minimum of 6 hours. Implementers and teachers properly train in school-based preventions, encouraging interactive learning and inclusive school policies that restrict the use of drugs. Also foster a positive school climate capable of signaling inappropriate behavior to correct them, encourage peer-managed training, and mentoring-focused programs that involve a variety of stakeholders and include positive parenting skill programs. Now, let's look at some practices that not only do not work, but may cause adverse or iatrogenic reactions. What does not work? Teachers and promoters not trained in scientific prevention, information on specific substances from a pedagogy of dread, focusing interventions only on self-esteem, values, and emotional education, as well as on skills at a conceptual level and not interactivity. Focusing interventions also on isolated lectures from school policies that do not restrict drug use and do not apply to all educational agents. A negative and punitive school climate that is not capable of pointing out inappropriate behavior that need to be corrected, encouraging only recreational and sport activities, as well as unstructured programs that stigmatize and only include interventions with the student body, showing disregard for the authority of families and providing them only with information of the effects of drugs. Finally, two actions that need to be removed from schools are the use of testimonial with current or former drug users and police officers in punitive programs. UPC-5, school-based prevention interventions as a resource for the professionalization of prevention. This course considers a comprehensive and updated vision of prevention in a school context, offers training, advice to educational agents who need to implement preventive programs and actions. It is part of the Universal Prevention curriculum. Its two variants, coordination series and implementation series, in its face-to-face only coordinate and address issues such as needs of resources, analysis for prevention, selection of evidence-based programs, resource management, monitoring, evaluating, and other aspects relevant to the school-based programs. School-based program in action. To conclude, we will look at some examples of evidence-based or promising school-based prevention experiences that have achieved positive results in students' well-being and academic achievements. They are illustrated below. anti-smoking programs under the National Tobacco Control Program in India, state standards for basic education and secondary education in Ukraine, professionalization of school-based prevention for teachers and other educations and health agents through UPC as an international rebound movement in Germany, national guides and resources for teachers, training and quality standards in the UK, Be Smart, Don't Start in Europe, good behavior game in various regions of the world, the Kelly Group support in Hong Kong, childhood immunization scheme activating the national immunization system from school in several regions of the world, promoted by UNICEF, health promoting schools in several regions of the world, promoted by WHO and PAHO, counseling and brief intervention in selective prevention indicated the province drugs use in Mexico, Lion Quest in various regions of the world in alliance with 1DC Unplug in various regions of the world, project towards non-drug abuse in the US, Prevent Tour program in Canada, and finally life skills in various regions of the world and promoted by agencies like UNICEF. Thank you for your attention. And I also invite you to actively participate in the coalition that now gathers us. Thank you very much. Thank you to you, Gabriela. So interesting, your presentation. I think that is very important to understand how the school is not just a scenario, but a means to be able to work with scientific-based evidence and see what works, what doesn't work. And this is what science has been showing us throughout the months. Let's continue now with an experience that Gabriela mentioned when she made a summary, which is the Lion Quest in Croatia. And that's another experience that she mentioned will be in the page that Brian already mentioned. So if you want to see those presentations, those examples, you can go there. I will show you now the Lion Quest example in Croatia.
Volim ove radionice zato što svaki put pozitivne stvari govorimo, uvijek razveselimo jedne druge.
Svaki put kako idem dalje s radionicama, ili mi podigne samopouzdanje, ili mi se nešto dogodi, ali mi uvijek ide na bolje nekako život i znam kako da bolje komuniciram s drugima.
Poučne su i pomažemo drugima da se osjećaju lijepo i toplo. Pošto ja nisam baš dugo u ovom razredu, osjećam se puno bolje.
Lions Clubs International Foundation se prvenstveno puni donacijama članova i ta sredstva se namjenjuju posebnim programima koji su definirani generalnom strategijom Lions Clubs International.
S obzirom da je u kategoriji programa koji su temeljeni na dokazima, sigurno će doprinijeti unapređivanju školskih preventivnih programa u Republici Hrvatskoj, prvenstveno kroz programe kontinuiranog profesionalnog razvoja učitelja i nastavnika koje će provoditi Agencija za odgoj i obrazovanje, a u konačnici sigurno će doprinijeti razvoju socijalno-emocionalnih vještina i kompetencija djece i mladih iz obrazovnih institucija Republike Hrvatske.
Ono što je posebna vrijednost ovog programa je njegova znanstvena utemeljenost. To što je on evaluiran kao učinkovit program, nalazi se u svim svjetskim bazama i naravno da je nama izazov i tako nešto dovesti.
Meni se ove radionice jako sviđaju zato što to primjenjujem u svom životu i kada pogrešim to nešto, kada kažem, sjetim se radionice i to primjenim ponovno.
To mi pomaže da se s prijateljima bolje sa drugim osobama, da bolje komuniciramo.
Nakon jedno prve 2 radionice bili su dobri, ali ne previše zainteresirani. Ali tako, sad smo odradili 7. nam je ova radionica. Kako vrijeme odmiče, oni su postali jako zainteresirani, otvoreni, vole pričati, vole iznositi svoje stavove.
Naučio sam, recimo, evo, kada neko priča da ne upadam u riječ, kako da pričam s drugima, kako da nekom pomognem.
Upoznala sam bolje moje prijatelje iz razreda i onda znam kako se oni osjećaju dok razgovaramo.
Mogu reći da su djeca u razredu povezanija, otvorenija, dakle da se razlika kao zajednica pokazalo se da bolje funkcioniraju, da se te dobrobiti u stvari samog programa da se pokazuju i na nastavi, dakle u suradnji sa učiteljima i čak i roditelji isto primijete već sada neke promjene.
Povezani smo kroz iste potrebe dijete na Cresu, u tako malom otoku, dijete u Hrvatskoj i ova američka iskustva i evropska i švedska govore o tome da dijelimo iste probleme, da idemo u novi svijet koji ima nove zahtjeve i da smo mi nekako tu da pomognemo djeci da uđu u taj novi svijet, a i sebi da razumijemo svijet koji dolazi.
Djeca od nas traže pozitivan uzor i traže da se osjećaju sigurnim. Znači ja moram njima dati određena znanja, određeni putokaz i ostvarivanje ciljeva kako bi oni stekli samopouzdanje i sigurnost.
Izvrsna povratna informacija i našoj lokalnoj zajednici koja je sam program koji je pobudio interes za uključenje i svih ostalih škola.
Program Veštine za adolescenciju obuhvatio je ukupno 41 školu i isti taj broj je uspješno i završio implementaciju. Zahvaljujući sjajnim rezultatima sprovođenja programa, Dubrovačko-neretvanska županija odlučila je da proširi implementaciju programa u svojoj županiji u još dodatnih 26 škola. Pored toga, u planu imamo i održavanje treninga za trenere koji bi se obučili i nadamo se u bliskoj budućnosti uspjeli da sprovedu program na teritoriji cele Hrvatske.
Možemo sa ovakvim projektima smanjiti visoku stopu tinejdžera koji se odluče na korištenje svakakvih opijata, alkohola i nadam se da ćemo ih osvijestiti o nečemu i eto, kad bi promijenili mišljenje jednoj osobi, ja bi bio najsretniji.
Thank you so much to Gabriela, and thank you so much for the video as well. It's wonderful to see when we see these presentations, not only to hear the science behind it, but then to see the folk that it impacts and the folk that the programs reach to. So thank you so much for that. Moving next, we are going to see a presentation from Dr. Aala Khani from the University of Manchester, and we'll move into our segment on family-based prevention interventions. Cyril, if you could cue up the video, we'll move to that next. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Aala Khani, and I am a global humanitarian psychologist. In this presentation, I hope to highlight how utilizing family skills interventions is really key to preventing a number of negative outcomes, including substance use, as well as other negative physical, mental, and social outcomes. Let me start by sharing with you an image of the international standards of drug use prevention. And the reasons I'm mentioning the standards, but only very briefly, we usually have a 3-day training on it, is that there is a science behind it. And we've used the WHO criteria to filter that science. Essentially, what this means is that there's no need to improvise in terms of what programs work in preventing drug use and other risky behaviors and what programs don't. The other key message is that prevention is much more than just awareness of drugs and other risks of self-harm. This, for example, is just a small component of what it is that works, really, and only for a subgroup of people. We're moving away from awareness fear raising. We're far beyond this strategy now. Messages of just say no to drugs assume that in the very young age of vulnerability, there's a free, independent choice that children or youth can make to say yes or no, without assuming the rest of the vulnerability around the child. So the point of focus here is shifted from drugs being the problem to how can I help that individual in different ages of development to grow in a really healthy and safe way. My colleague, Dr. Wadia Malouf, has recently presented to the coalition specifically on the international standards, and I have shared a link to that presentation for those of you who would like more information. Now, focusing on the family is a social institution that is so powerful in the lives of children. These are people with shared genes, history, and daily experiences, and a future. And we very often underestimate the role of the family in prevention, though it's so important. UNODC has also participated in a recent WHO parenting guideline that indicates recommendations of family skills on the multi-treatment prevention to different settings as well. That's why when we talk about family skills, we're talking about improving communication, trust, problem-solving skills, and conflict resolution between caregivers and children. And of course, that interactivity will be very different at different stages of the child's early life and adolescence too, and through all of their development. These are all key concepts that are promoted by evidence-based family skills programs. So what are these evidence family skills resources? Well, they're resources that aim to strengthen family protective factors that I've just mentioned, and they focus on relationships and behavior change, and where possible, lots of practice. Also, supporting families is very cost effective, with research indicating a return of almost $10 for every dollar spent implementing family skills programs. There's a compilation of evidence-based practices in line with the international standards of drug use prevention that UNODC have produced. And if you look into this document, you will find the compilation of tools there. Many of these you may be familiar with already, such as PPP, SFP 10-14, and FAST, and others as well. Based on these, we have successfully tested several of these packages, namely SFP 10-14 and FAST globally, as you can see from this map, all the while publishing our results in peer-reviewed journals. Despite the effectiveness of such programs that we've seen, we identified during implementations that caregiving in stressful settings raises particular concerns and needs, and that these need to be addressed. And also scaling up programming, even in a universal setting, requires a low threshold program. As such, we've developed this model of multi-level parenting support delivery for family living in low and middle income countries, including families in conflict and refugee settings. And at each level, families can be provided with family skill support, depending on how much resources the area they're in residing has and how much need they're in. And this maps well against MHPSS model of psychosocial support. You'll see that there's different packages that we avail to families at all the different stages of their parenting experience. From the bottom of the model, we have very basic universal tools here, such as leaflets and short videos, to more multi-session programs that sit at the middle of our model, all the way up to more trauma-focused recovery and high-intensity interventions right at the top or the peak of our model. We've had the pleasure of collaborating with several other agencies, such as the WHO, UNICEF, ECDAN, and GISP on our resource development and dissemination, particularly for efforts with resources at the lower level of our model, such as videos and leaflets. And this has been mostly through responses to events such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ukraine conflict, the Syria-Turkey earthquake, and many other contexts as well. If we look specifically here at our model, at the middle, where we have tools or resources that are multi-level, at this stage here, we've developed two programs, one called Strong Families and one Family United. that meet the needs of families in low-resource, challenging settings, such as humanitarian contexts or low and middle-income countries. So Strong Families is for families in challenged settings, and Family United is a more universal intervention. And key features of these interventions are that they are evidence-based programs, that they are open source, requiring no royalty fees. And this is really valuable in contexts where resources and funding is really low, and we have competing demands for funding use. And also that they require very light material, so it's very easy to move these programs to scale. To date, we've implemented these two interventions in over 40 countries globally in just the last few years, and we have multiple publications from diverse countries and contexts published in peer-reviewed journals on their effectiveness on domains extending even further than drug use prevention, even though they stem from the prevention of drug prevention standards such as violence, mental health, and family functioning. Strong Families was developed with the generous support of the US INL and first piloted in Afghanistan and other countries. And Family United was developed with the support of the government of Japan, but with the support of US INL, we've been able to implement and pilot in many other countries globally. UNODC places particular importance on focusing on the needs of refugees and IDPs in our programming. And this is in response to research I conducted at the University of Manchester, where in this research, we were in refugee camps in Syria and in Turkey, sitting with families in their tents and asking them how they were coping in caring for their children and what needs they needed. And what we found was that caregivers were really struggling to care for their children. They were making significant attempts at trying to access parenting support, yet there simply was none available. This need to support caregivers to care for their children was not prioritized nor funded. And we researched and presented several possible reasons in a recent commentary for this lack, such as the mental health and family function of families is simply not deemed a primary need in such contexts. Also, interventions are often lengthy and costly, and their effectiveness isn't tested in varying cultural and challenging contexts. Also, different contexts require some different particular needs, as they can be volatile, and this makes problems accessing such areas with training. And also research on effectiveness of interventions when applied is limited. So we have poor research infrastructure and poor resources as well, making it even harder to be able to research the effectiveness of such interventions in this context. But living through war or other humanitarian contexts really entails many changes for children and their families, with the potential for really significant impact on well-being and mental health, both acute and long-term. Families under stress often become less warm and harsher, and parental stress is a really important driver of this. The relationship that parents have with their children is the primary most important factor in their future well-being. That's in their emotional and mental health development, and very significantly in the likelihood of them becoming engaged in risky behaviors such as drug misuse, criminal activity, and sexual experiences that can be harmful. So we really take pride in knowing that our UNODC Family Skills Interventions, Strong Families, which is designed for families in challenged settings, is being used in multiple humanitarian contexts, such as the Cox's Bazar and Afghanistan. The implementation of these interventions are not meant to be exclusive, but rather can bridge with other programs that exist that are multi-tiered, addressing several risks, such that the transferability of the scientific knowledge to other countries may be in different programs, such as SFP 10-14, FAST, and other open source programs that are evidence-based. Finally, we need to make use of this really wonderful protective shield that caregivers can be for their children, particularly during challenging, stressful times. And the UNODC resource pyramid is just one example of the way that support can be conceptualized, and there are other programs and resources available too. There are diverse public health implications of this arsenal of tools being readily available to families in new emerging challenging contexts, from the prevention of drug use and other risky behaviors, reduction in violence against children, promotion of mental health and physical well-being in the short and in the long term, and to promote the resilience of children and youth. But first, we must prioritize expanding the reach of interventions that support family functioning as a primary need, as a concrete, definitive next step in drug use prevention. Thank you so much for your attention.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Khani. I hope I am not mispronouncing your name. And I also wanted to note that Dr. Khani is in the room with us today for Q&A. Something I wanted to note is that when you said there's no need to improvise programs, and I love how you said there's an arsenal of tools and resources that already exist and are out there, especially evidence-based open source tools. They're here, they're out there. And so we'll get to Q&A in a little bit, but first we have a few videos of how the Strong Families and SPF 1014 programs were applied. The first video we're gonna see is from Quenzon City. So Cyril, if you wanna cue that up, that'd be great, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant day to each one of you. I stand before you as Kathleen Yu, hailing from Quezon City and proudly representing the Quezon City Anti-Drug Abuse Advisory Council. Today, I am delighted to share with you the significant strides we have made in implementing a groundbreaking initiative in our community. Quezon City has been at the forefront, pioneering the rollout of the Strong Families program since its introduction to the Philippines in 2019. Over the years, our local government unit has not only embraced this program, but has actively propelled its implementation at the grassroots level. Our collaborative efforts extend to partnering with the barangays of Quezon City, working closely with the Barangay Anti-Drug Abuse Councils, Barangay Council for the Protection of Children, and the Schools Division's Office of Quezon City. Witnessing the profound impact of the Strong Families program, families within our community have warmly embraced its principles. Through continuous engagement and rollout sessions in the barangays, we have received valuable feedback and testimonials from families. It is heartening to see the unwavering support and commitment they have shown, incorporating the program's teachings into their daily lives. Not only families embrace this transformative initiative, but the barangays themselves have also become champions of the program. They have actively initiated families to become beneficiaries of various programs, thereby extending the benefits to both parents and children alike. As of now, we have successfully catered to 40 families from the barangays and an additional 20 families from the public schools of Quezon City. Furthermore, we organize a comprehensive facilitators training program with 213 individuals completing the program. These participants included public elementary school teachers, representatives from civil society organizations specializing in families and mental health, members of youth organizations, and representatives from faith-based organizations. In expressing our gratitude, I extend heartfelt thanks to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime for entrusting us with this transformative program. Special appreciation goes to Ms. Joanne de Belen, Ms. Sheila Marquez, and Dr. Milosh, and the entire team for their unwavering support. The Strong Families program has not only been a beacon in our journey towards drug prevention, but has also played an important role in assisting families in navigating their daily challenges. As we celebrate the success of this initiative, let us continue working hand in hand to build stronger, healthier communities. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. It's excellent to see how things translate into real life. I will switch to the next video coming up, but I do want to note too, I know we're short for discussion time, but Dr. Khani and Ms. Gómez are in the room with us. So if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll be able to have a bit of a dialogue in that form as well. Moving on, we have another example of Strong Families from Lebanon. Thanks.
Acquiring family skills is essential in Lebanon. Amidst conflict, crisis, social security, and economic instability, and the painful humanitarian situation in the region, which causes stress and pressure, increases challenges for families. The Strong Families program is implemented in a systematic manner to enable families, including refugees from different areas, to learn communication skills, techniques, and tools to decrease stress and create a safe environment for building a healthy and secure relationship within the family. As social workers, we benefited from this program and applied it in our lives to see how it had a positive impact on families and how it changed their relationships within the family for the better. We need to expand this program to reach a larger segment of families in Lebanon, since we have noticed a huge need for programs that truly promote a positive and healthy environment to support strong families in dealing with ongoing challenges.